Hello, everybody. This is Zero to Hero, where everyday Canadians are getting ahead with real estate. This is the show where we dive into the success stories of several real world investors. We dive into the strategies that help take their business to the next level. You get to know the who, learn the how to get what you need to succeed. Hello, everyone. Today, I am chatting with the legendary, the amazing, the one and only Alex Mustatea. Listen, he is an active real estate investor based out of Hamilton, Ontario. He spent over 15 years in technical sales. And he also, if you're into it, he is a biker and an avid runner. And so if you got some trails he needs to know about, I suggest you let him know. And so today, Alex, how are you doing? I'm excited to be with you.
I am fantastic, Daniel. Thank you. Thank you for having me on here.
Oh, the pleasure is absolutely mine. But the challenge that you're up now is I got 10 questions to hit you with. Are you ready?
I'm good to go.
Okay. All right. Let's go. Let's get it going. All right. Question number one is, why did you get into real estate?
My initial, I guess, exposure to real estate was basically just a form of moving out of the house. It was, there was an opportunity to own versus rent, and I pursued it. I listened to smarter people at the time to be able to get into my first property over 12 or 15 years ago. And then when I went to actually sell it, I couldn't sell it at where I wanted to, so I ended up renting it out. And I realized, hey, there's something to be done in real estate. So it just kind of grew from there.
That's phenomenal. And so I know I did say that you had spent 15 years in technical sales, but just to kind of give a deeper perspective, what people can see as far as your life was before real estate, before you kind of discovered this whole thing about properties and rents and flipping houses and things of that nature, what was life like before you got into all of that?
Yeah, no. So I have a mechanical engineering technology background, having gone to Mohawk College. And then afterwards, I got into, I guess, industrial equipment design, project management, and then eventually it led to sales. So I'd spent well over 15 years basically climbing the corporate ladder in various roles, always sales related or project management and sales related. And for the most part, I had great exposure to the oil and gas field. So I spent a lot of time out west working with consultant engineers on various projects. And I thought at the time that was my calling. I wanted to climb the corporate ladder, eventually leading to some sort of entrepreneurial endeavor in that environment, which never really materialized. And then over the past few years, I realized that there's an opportunity in real estate. So I just kind of pivoted on that. I also had a bit of a construction background. And that's something that I've leveraged in the beginning to be able to get into real estate and take down some of these projects.
I think what's really cool is that with you transitioning into real estate, do you up until that point, whether it's your construction background, technical sales, your engineering expertise, I'm sure it's really served you well in a lot of areas that people who don't have that background maybe got to outsource or they got to find other people who have that experience. But tell me something that most people wouldn't know about Alex when it just comes to you, the person.
I have a fantastic sense of humor and I'm never wrong.
So the timing of that,
I was mistaken.
You were mistaken. Okay, so there's just an asterisk beside it. It wasn't a real mistake. That's awesome. I love that. All right, so you now are into real estate. Okay, you've done many deals, all right, but we all know no one's perfect. We understand that there are some bumps along the way. So tell us of a mistake that you've made that you wouldn't want to do over again.
I think it became clear only if about a year or so ago that so let's move back 2013. Shortly after I decided to rent that first property, I bought another one. I saw the potential. I was able to buy another property, and I had professional tenants. Terrible experience with that, and because of that, there's no point in going into it. But the whole, police eviction, it just went pretty bad for that second investment property experience. And because of that, I've stepped away from real estate. I decided to sell that property. We ended up making a profit on it, but we sold it in only about 3 years. That was intended to be a long-term buy and hold. So if I look back at that, is that I've allowed that circumstance to deter me from pursuing the real estate model. I've allowed that experience to control me, and that's something that now I'm far better educated on the matter, on how I should be dealing. I would never allow that one bad tenant to push me out of the game.
That's a very, very good thought. It's something that we can all take away, especially because I know that other investors have dealt with professional tenants, and they can be, just straight up somebody from the worst place in the world, and they just bring you all kind of misery. But when you are able to stay poised and learn and know how to handle them in a strategic way, it definitely helps you stay in the game and not let them take you out of what you're pursuing as your personal goals, which is awesome. Now, you obviously had gotten to a point where you're growing, you're scaling, you're doing deals. But I think one of those things for you was getting mentorship and getting some counsel. And as a result, you joined a mastermind called the Council. Talk to me about what that was like for you, why you joined it, and what was something that you were able to say is the biggest thing you've taken away so far.
So I mean, to me, it was the mentorship. It was the business development that I saw. At the front end, you see Ben and Matt, and then you get to meet the other folks yourself, Mark Smith, some of the other guys, and you really get the sense that you get the opportunity to be at the table with people that have accomplished what you're trying to accomplish, and there is a pretty a clear roadmap that, as a minimum, you'll be able to get over the speed bumps much faster. I'm still going to make the same mistakes that they did. I know that. I'm still doing it, but I'm getting over them. So I'm building up that confidence. I think on a personal level, for me, the biggest benefit was building the confidence to pursue the win as opposed to protect the downside. And I think, and again, this is on a personal level, if anybody can relate with that, but I've been more hesitant to move on projects in the past, and now I'm building that confidence to see the potential win as opposed to just protecting the downside.
I love that. It's so important to understand that when you're keeping it, obviously as investors, the number one thing is to not lose money. And the number two thing is to remember number one. But at the same time, we're not here just to protect ourselves. We're doing this so that we can grow, so that we can move, so that we can advance in our lives in the direction of our goals. And so it's so important to keep those things in tandem. But as a result, you have been able to really accomplish a lot of really awesome things, a lot of unique things as well in the marketplace. So I actually want to ask you this. What has been your favorite deal up until this point? And if you can, break us down with the numbers.
Sure. It's my favorite deal. My favorite deal from a strictly business point of view was a very quick flip that I completed in October. So the entry point was 470. The exit was 600. We grossed about $55,000 on this particular project. The beauty of it was that it was 2.5 months close to close, and the actual renovation of it was just over 4 weeks. You could probably count it down to days. So that was, to me, it was very good return on time. And it was probably one of the first that I really started thinking, let's hire out more, let's implement, even though I still did some of the work myself. I guess the difference was that I hated doing it as opposed to before, where I would do it with a smile on my face, more or less. So that was, from a business point of view, that was a fantastic deal. I guess the one that might be most near and dear to my heart was my duplex conversion in Hamilton, that I was able to do a BRRRR on it. Is it a perfect BRRRR? No, there's still some money left in the deal, but that was less than a year ago, and I'm about to put that on the market for a considerable profit as well. And those numbers are significant by comparison to just a flip. I would refer to that as a long-term flip. A short-term buy and hold to stabilize the building and be able to sell it for a considerable profit within about a year and a half.
That's amazing. And these are the type of things that you've been able to do as a result of just putting in the work and making things happen. And so take us now, paint us a picture 5 years down the line. All right. We're in 2026. Talk to us about where you are and what kind of things you're doing at that point.
I'm moving more and more towards not just adding value to the existing to to a property, but adding value in addition to the existing dwelling. So secondary dwelling units in Hamilton have been approved. That's definitely a focus for me. I currently have a project for which I'm going to be adding one of those, and then moving and scaling that up into multifamily. But again, forcing that initial appreciation by renovating it and additional and adding, if possible, or focusing on opportunities where you can add physical assets on that same property, whether it's severing the lot or whether it's adding an additional duplex on a lot that already has a triplex or a fourplex. I think that through the project management, some construction background, we can find a bit of a sweet spot, on those kind of opportunities, as well as potentially partner with people that existing investors that may own some of these properties. I don't need to buy the asset to be able to add value to it and work a business plan that's profitable for both sides.
I really, really like the fact that you are very clear on where you want to go, and not just simply where you want to go, but what your strengths are and how you can add value in that specific niche. See, I think there's a lot of value in doubling down on one strong area, maybe two, if you have the capacity, right? Because, I have questions that come to me all the time. Daniel, what's the best investment strategy? Should I do flipping? Should I do wholesaling? Should I buy and hold? Should I burr? Should I do student rentals? Should I do Airbnb? Should I just house hack and then do house hack again in a few years? Whatever the case may be. The truth is, everybody is making money using some strategy. That's why it exists. If it wasn't making money, it wouldn't be around today. And so the truth is, what makes the most sense for you, and based on your strengths and your capabilities, what can you double down on and thus bring the best return, not only for yourself, but all those who are involved. And I think another thing as well, you make a really great point about how you don't actually need to own the asset in order to add value and extrapolate the value for yourself as a business owner. I think that's something really cool. And perhaps maybe we can dive more deeply into another podcast where you can really talk about what that actually looks like. Because for many people, the biggest thing they're always talking about is, man, I can't say 20%. I can't do this. I can't do that. But there are other ways and there are other things. And part of that is just getting counsel and just getting that mentorship so that you could see more than what you already know, which is really cool. So, talk about that.
I'm going to add on to that to say that, it's almost, and I don't intend it to almost sound naive, but I'd like to develop a business plan to get to a point where I can bring value and be able to buy on the market. Will I get into bidding wars? Probably not. But my point is that, it's not, I want to get to a point where it's not so much making your profit on the buy, but you bring sufficient value to be able to make a profit, even if your entry point wasn't so high. And on the first point that you'd make with regards to your strengths, that's what I see that I think I can bring to the value. The beauty of counsel is that allows us to have a filtered pool of resources and talents, other people in council that have also committed to their personal development, that have other strengths that I can partner with so that we can also do some of the other strategies that I might not be as good at. So wholesaling per se, my goal isn't to wholesale, but I'm happy to partner with somebody that has access to these deals and work something out that I can pursue my strengths and they can pursue theirs. So there's a lot of that happening in the background as well. And again, that's something else that I'd be happy to expand on in the future.
You know what? One question I want to ask you is, with what you know now, right? You have a wealth of knowledge. There are so many things that you now have at your disposal simply because you know better, right? You don't just do better, but you know better. So you are able to work hard and smart at the same time. With what you know now, how would you do things differently if you were to start over from the beginning with the resources that you had in the beginning?
This is probably easy to say this because the market has done extremely well, but as a minimum, I'd probably take a lot more risks. So I'd be inclined. And at the time I bought that first property, it was turnkey. I was able to move into it, but I already knew that I wanted something that I can bring some value to. I could maybe potentially rent out the basement. I didn't have that option. So I would do just that. I'd probably take a lot more risks. I wouldn't allow the market to control me. At that point, I was seeing opportunities in areas that, it was questionable. They were a little more questionable, not as good of areas, but they're fantastic for profitability. Maybe not the best area you want to live in, but that makes sense from a business point of view. So I wouldn't allow, my perception of an area to control the investment strategy just because I wouldn't want to live in it. That's little things like that. I'd probably be able to take a lot more risks.
Man, I think obviously we all know 2020, our hindsight is 2020, but the truth of the matter is we can still look back, learn, and then apply things differently so we can even go faster in the future, which is what all we're looking to do. But there are people who are going to be listening to this, Alex, and they're inspired. They're thinking, man, like if he's been able to do this, man, it makes me want to go out there and start making things happen so I can start progressing my journey. So, Alex, what are 3 practical tips that listeners can take away right now and they can do immediately so that they can start their journey to accomplish their goals?
I've actually spoken to quite a few individuals, I'm going to say quite a bit younger than me too, that they see, or I've talked to about this, and they see the value and they'd like to get involved, but the comments are always, well, I'm saving for a down payment. You will never be able to save at a rate that allows you to make more money by saving and lose out on the appreciation of the assets. So, get inventive, study, even if it's YouTube at this point, invest in yourself and to build a confidence to find that money without waiting to save it. That's one thing that I could say, because there's the best time to get into real estate was yesterday. Every day that goes by, in my opinion, is a lost opportunity. Trying to time the market is speculation. So yeah, those are a couple of tidbits. Don't allow the hot market to prevent you from buying. People have always also said, well, I'm waiting for it to cool down. Might be waiting a while.
I definitely agree. Like you gotta take action. Like inaction is the best way to know you will not get results, right? Wayne Gretzky says it all the time. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So, and it's not about timing the market. It's about putting time in the market. Just get in, do what you need to execute, and extrapolate the value that you are aiming for. Whatever strategy that is, whatever your specialty, your strengths, or the form of your partnerships, just get in and execute and make things happen. And so, Alex, this has been awesome. Really, really appreciate you sharing your story with us. Before we let you go, if people want to connect with you, maybe continue the conversation one-on-one, or just look to find ways where they could just get in touch with you, what are the best ways they can connect?
Instagram, Facebook. I think it's just probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. It's Alexander.Mustatea, and on Instagram as well as Facebook. My full first name and last name. Boom.
We'll put that information down below so that you all will be able to get access and reach out. But Alex, want to appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for taking care thank you so much for adding value and taking care of us by sharing your story and giving us the tools that we need to move forward in our life and business. Any last thing that you want to share before we let you go?
Oh, this has been a fantastic journey. I'm the values in getting in the right room with the right folks is absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much. And so with that said, folks, we'll catch you on the next episode. But until then, take care, take action, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.
Cheers.
This has been Zero to Hero. I hope you took something out of it. Be sure to take action so that you can get results just like our guest that you've listened to today. Stay tuned for the next episodes, and we'll see you on the next one.